as the crown prince's intended bride. My elder sister had an affair with a stage actor. After becoming pregnant, she chose to elope, left with no choice. I approached the crown prince to reveal the truth. Yet he demanded I take my sister's place and marry into the crown prince's household. Later, my sister was sold by the actor to a brothel, where she was humiliated. Found barely alive, she was retrieved by the crown prince. Only then did I learn that the child she carried had miscarried 3 days after their escape. The crown prince went mad. He disregarded my 8-month pregnancy, turning me into a human pig and torturing me to death. His bloodshot eyes burned with hatred. Jean said she carried my child within her. It was you, to seize the crown princess's position, who deliberately hired actors to abduct her, forcing her to miscarry and bringing her to this end. Now, you must return the position to her. Opening my eyes once more, I found myself back at the moment my elder sister prepared to elope. How dare you stop me? You're just a concubine's daughter. What right do you have to interfere? How did your mother teach you manners? Oh, I forgot, your lowly mother is long dead. Get out of my way. Don't block my escape with Xiaoling. We truly love each other, what do you know? You little slut. I jolted awake. Before me, my elder sister Song Jianjian glared at me with disgust, frantically grabbing my arm and squeezing it until it turned purple. The pain felt so vivid. I stared blankly at the scene unfolding before me. I had reborn. If I recall correctly, Song Jianjian was about to elope with that actor, leaving our family with a mountain of mess. Remembering how her selfish, foolish actions had ruined me, I ignored the threat in her eyes and screamed at the top of my lungs. Help! Quick! Someone! My sister's gone mad. Call a doctor. Quickly! Call a doctor. In my past life, she threatened me with my deceased mother and my very life, forbidding me to stop her or tell anyone. Helpless and unloved by my father, I was truly afraid, so I turned a blind eye. But later, my fate became worse than death. This time, I won't repeat that mistake. Let her go to that den of wolves in the Eastern Palace herself. My screams drew countless footsteps. As they drew nearer, Song Jianjian grew frantic, her eyes widening like copper bells. You worthless brat! Didn't I tell you to keep quiet? Didn't you hear me? Are you trying to get yourself killed? Faced with her threats, I chose to ignore her completely. By the time several maids brought my father to open the door, her nails had already dug deep into my skin, blood flowing unchecked. Witnessing this scene, my father's reaction wasn't pity, but rage. Your elder sister's wedding is imminent. She's about to enter the Eastern Palace as crown princess. What business do you have disturbing her? A cold laugh echoed in my heart. Had I not come to disturb them, their prized crown princess daughter would soon become the shame of the entire Song family. Father, I heard sister has been troubled lately, unable to eat, even vomiting. I couldn't help but come to check on her. But as soon as I arrived, she started spouting nonsense, muttering about some Xiaoling over and over. Now that she's to marry the crown prince as his consort. If word of this gets out, it could damage the reputation of our entire Song family. My father doted on Song Jianjian, but as the head of the Song household, the family's future and reputation naturally outweighed everything else in his mind. Upon hearing this, his expression darkened instantly. He dismissed the attendants and shut the door. Explain this thoroughly. What exactly is happening? I glanced at Song Jianjian and feigned fear. My father frowned. Speak plainly. With me here, who dares threaten you? Though usually absent-minded, my father remained sharp in such matters. I bowed my head in humiliation. Sister. She wants to elope with a stage actor. If she leaves, the Song family's reputation will be ruined. My father's gaze toward Song Jianjian grew colder. Is that what you're saying? Song Jianjian naturally refused to admit it, twisting her words in every way. But seeing the bundle in her hands, the truth became crystal clear. My father erupted in fury, roaring at Song Jianjian for the first time. Song Jianjian, as my legitimate daughter, the eldest lady of the entire Song family, you dare to elope with a stage actor? Do you even regard me? Do you regard the entire Song family? Guards! Imprison her in her chambers. On the wedding day, even if she must be dragged, she will be delivered to the Eastern Palace. Song Jianjian's eyes burned crimson. I refuse. Why should I go? This marriage was arranged by you. I never once asked to marry the crown prince and become his consort. If you adore the crown prince's consort so much, why don't you marry him yourself? My father's rage boiled over. He raised his hand to strike Song Jianjian, yet ultimately couldn't bring himself to strike. Finally, he let out a long, heavy sigh. This is all my fault. I spoiled you rotten. And now you've thrown the entire family's reputation to the wind. You'd better behave yourself these next few days. Otherwise, I'll find that actor and make him regret every single thing he's done. Threatening her with the actor, this tactic still worked. She instantly wilted, sobbing, Father, how can you be so heartless? If you kill him, I won't live either. My father stared at her coldly. Even if you die, your body must be brought to the East Palace. With that, my father left the room. Song Jianjian's furious gaze could have devoured me. Song Lanshi, I won't let you off the hook. I followed close behind. Seeing my father's grim expression, I couldn't help but speak up. Father, sister must have been deceived by that actor too. Right now, she's deeply devoted to him. If you truly harm that actor, it might sever your father-daughter bond. My father kept numerous concubines in the back courtyard, yet few of their children survived to adulthood. Of course, despite his many concubines, he never favored them over his wife. All these years, he treated us, his illegitimate sons and daughters, with distant indifference. I scarcely ever had the chance to speak with him. Only now has he truly looked at me. I never imagined you would think of this. I never intended to kill the actor either. But to dare provoke Jean, this man is utterly audacious. So tell me, what should we do now? I cleared my throat softly. Father, you saw it yourself. Sister is clearly unwell. To defy you over that actor. If we force her to the Eastern Palace against her will, her hysteria could flare up again. Damaging the Song family's reputation would be the least of our troubles. Offending the imperial family, that would be a catastrophe. I suggest we first invite several physicians to take her pulse, feign tending to her health, and administer calming herbs. At the very least, this should see her through the wedding day. My father visibly relaxed, nodding at me. I hadn't paid much attention to you before. But it seems you're quite sensible after all. My father's stride lightened considerably as he walked away. The day after the physician arrived with the medicine, the entire capital was abuzz. The Song family's legitimate daughter was pregnant before her wedding. I knew she was pregnant, and she knew it too. But she couldn't explain it to my father. She could only endure as he ordered the physician to forcibly take her pulse, prescribe medicine, and administer it. The physician, unaccustomed to such a scene, dared not speak plainly of the situation on the spot. But once people stepped outside the mansion, their tongues couldn't be held. The entire capital learned that the Song family's legitimate daughter was a wanton woman who had consorted with men before marriage. Conceiving a child in secret. Whose child could it be? She was about to marry the crown prince, yet dared to commit such a shameless act? Wasn't this trampling the imperial family's honor underfoot? It must be the crown prince's. She may be loose, but surely she isn't so foolish as to risk her head. With the Song family's meager fifth-rank official status, it's already suspicious that their eldest daughter could become crown princess. Perhaps she seduced the crown prince, took his virginity, and now forces him to take responsibility? I reckon that's it too. It must be the crown princes. These noble ladies, all looking so lofty and reserved, like celestial maidens from the ninth heaven. Now it seems they're not even as pure as us common folk. Though Song Jinjin's reputation as a loose woman was cemented, luckily most people believed the child was the crown prince's. The rumors reached my father's ears, and he kicked open Song Jinjin's door in one swift motion. You shameless creature! Are you truly pregnant? After days of being drugged, Song Jinjin was weak and frail, clutching her face as she wept. Seeing her like this, my father was convinced. He slammed his palm onto the table. After the thunderous crash, his eyes burned crimson. Whose child is this? The actor's? Or the crown prince's? Mark my words. If you truly bear that lecher's child, don't blame me for being ruthless. The glory of our entire Song family absolutely cannot be destroyed by you. I couldn't tell if my father's words were genuine or not. He valued family reputation above all. Yet he had doted on this sister since childhood. He might spare Song Jingjing, but this child, and that actor, would vanish from this world forever. Song Jingjing understood this well. Her sobs grew louder. Father, it's the crown princes. Though Xiao and I shared mutual affection, we never crossed boundaries. This child is the crown prince's. My father looked at her deeply. Is it true? She looked pitifully at him and nodded. If you don't believe me, you can go ask the crown prince. My father exhaled a long breath, the tension easing slightly from the corners of his mouth. If that's the case, I can rest assured. Now that you carry the crown prince's child, the Eastern Palace is your only place to go. As for that actor, you must never see him again. Song Jinjian scrambled off the bed. Father, what do you mean by that? My father replied calmly, rest assured. I won't take his life. I'll give him a sum of silver and send him far from the capital. He must never return to trouble you again. With the situation settled, Song Jinjin knew that now her pregnancy was exposed. She had no other choice. Truth be told, I never quite understood my elder sister's ambitions. Most of the rumors circulating outside were, in fact, true. From childhood, my elder sister harbored ambitions as vast as the heavens. She possessed a face of unparalleled beauty, convinced she was peerless in the world. She believed it would be a waste if she didn't marry the finest man alive. Thus, though my father held no high office, she had her maternal family arrange matters for her, securing an opportunity to draw close to the crown prince. She successfully climbed into the crown prince's bed and won his favor. Defying all opposition, disregarding the emperor and empress's objections, the crown prince petitioned to marry Song Jinin. Yet the moment the betrothal was sealed, she suddenly became infatuated with the actor Xiao Ju. She watched Xiao Ju heroically rescue damsels on stage. She watched him, surrounded by beauties, resolutely choose the greater cause of home and country. She watched him time and again embody the heroes of stories. She, the spectator, became too deeply immersed in the play. Perhaps their initial encounter was merely a fleeting fling born of her reckless desire. Yet she sank deeper and deeper, finding herself utterly ensnared. Come to think of it, I had met that Xiao Ju once in my previous life. He truly possessed a face far more handsome than the crown prince's. Every gesture and movement, honed by years of role-playing, carried an effortless grace and an indescribable allure. Having known countless women, he offered Song Jianwan a romance utterly distinct from the crown prince's in every way. Her falling for him seemed almost understandable. But to demand we all sacrifice for her love, that was where she crossed the line. I recalled how, after she left in my previous life, I became her stand-in and married into the Eastern Palace to preserve the dignity of both the imperial family and the Song clan. The crown prince's heart belonged to her, not me. Those years, I endured neglect, existing as a mere figurehead. Fortunately, I remained safe. For my future, and for this nominal husband of mine, I considered his every need, strategized on his behalf, helped him overcome all obstacles, and secured his throne. Finally, he deigned to glance my way. Our years of tension began to thaw, and my position as empress was no longer merely symbolic. I even had a child of my own. I believed my life would continue in this blissful state. But after Song Jianjian grew tired of that actor, she was sold into a brothel. The crown prince searched for her for years. When he found her in the brothel, barely clothed, she knelt pitifully before him. It was my sister who schemed to have that actor kidnap me. I was already carrying your child. Your Majesty. That actor humiliated me in every way, causing me to miscarry. All these years, he tortured me until my body was covered in wounds. Your Majesty. All these years, I never forgot you. I thought of you constantly. He returned to the palace and, disregarding all my explanations, turned me into a human pig. As blood poured from my body and I suffered with nowhere to hide, I heard his voice echoing in my ears. It was you. You took everything from Jianwan. If not for you, how could Jianwan have endured such torment? A woman so vile, she disgusts me. How could she ever be fit to be the empress of this realm? Now, none of this will ever come to pass. Preparations for Song Jianjian's marriage have already begun. The crown prince, naturally, learned of her pregnancy. Far from disdaining her, he personally came to comfort her. Your Highness came in person. Why was no one sent to announce your arrival? This humble servant was discourteous. When the crown prince visits, women of our station in the inner quarters naturally have no right to appear in the front hall. But from what the servants said, the crown prince did indeed acknowledge this child as his own. He sent countless delicacies and medicinal tonics to nourish Song Jianjian's body. However, when he requested to see Song Jianjian, he was turned away. The young lady stated she was feeling unwell today. After all, Your Highness and she are soon to be wed. If their love endures, what need is there for constant daily meetings? The crown prince cherishes Song Jianjian as the apple of his eye. Since she refuses to see him, he would never force the matter. I was too forward. He said, "Go tell your young lady that I have made thorough preparations throughout the palace, ready to welcome her with all my heart." When the crown prince returned to the Eastern Palace, my father's anxious heart finally settled. Jing, rest assured. That actor has been taken care of. My men will see he is well provided for. As long as you settle into your role as crown princess and bring honor to our family, you will forever remain your father's most cherished daughter. With the matter settled, Song Jingjing's anger had subsided. Though her gaze still held resentment, at least her expression was calm, no longer frenzied. Finally, on the day of the grand wedding, my father escorted her out the door. His Royal Highness the Crown Prince rode a majestic steed, personally greeting her at our family gate. Countless colorful silk petals drifted through the air. Festive lanterns and decorations adorned every corner, and the gathered crowd marveled in awe. Though some murmured the couple seemed overly hasty. Who among the Song family could claim such favor from the crown prince? To receive such a prestigious match, with His Highness personally leading the procession, it spoke volumes. No wonder she was said to have her ways. Even carrying his child, she hadn't been cast aside, proving she truly bewitched the crown prince's heart. From that day onward, it became common knowledge that His Royal Highness the Crown Prince held a special affection for Song Jianjian, showering her alone with boundless favor. Court officials and ministers came to congratulate my father, countless people scrambling to flatter and ingratiate themselves. My father drank himself into a stupor. Even his dreams filled with sweetness. But when the day came for Song Jianjian to return to her in-laws' home, her state was far from well. Huge dark circles ringed her eyes. Her complexion was deathly pale, and the hand she extended was noticeably thinner. Her voice sounded strained and weak. "Father, you made me marry a man I never loved. Don't you feel any remorse? I am now the crown princess. A crown princess who brings you honor. Are you satisfied?" Seeing his beloved daughter reduced to this state, my father was naturally consumed by guilt. Jean, you were the one who wanted to marry the crown prince. I agreed to it. Now that the marriage is settled, there's no turning back. You are the crown princess consort. Once the crown prince ascends the throne, you will be the empress, second only to the emperor. Isn't that far better than running away with some reckless rogue? Song Jinjin shot me a fierce glare. My mother passed away early. If she saw you forcing me like this, could you face her spirit? I may have no turning back now, but my remaining years will hold no joy. My father sighed deeply. Then tell me, how can you be happy? She turned her head, fixing me with a piercing stare. Sell this little slut to a brothel. That would make me happy. She seemed to be taking out all her resentment over not being able to elope with Xiao Ju on me. My father looked somewhat troubled. How? How can you make such an outrageous demand? She is, after all, your own sister. Sister? Song Jianjian sneered coldly. She wasn't born from my mother's womb. What kind of sister is that? Father, you said you wanted to make me happy. Can't you even grant such a simple request? How dare you claim to want my happiness? Had my mother lived, she would never have allowed a concubine's daughter to bully me like this. Though my father had many wives and concubines, he still held deep affection for his late wife. Mentioning her mother was always Song Jianjian's foolproof tactic. Sure enough, father sank into deep thought. I didn't know what decision he would ultimately make, but it no longer mattered. Soon, I would be free from anyone's control. After all, with countless servants watching, father couldn't bear the shame of selling his daughter. He refused Song Jianjian's demand on the spot. Song Jianjian wept for a long while, but my father remained unyielding. She returned to the Eastern Palace with a gaze filled with venomous resentment. In the days that followed, thanks to the Crown Prince's favor, she could visit her family almost daily. Each day, she would make demands before my father either to sell me off or to have me beaten to death. Under her relentless, daily demands and brainwashing, the look in my father's eyes toward me grew increasingly unsettling. Until that day, when an imperial edict suddenly arrived, summoning me to the palace. At that moment, Song Jianjian was utterly stunned. Why would the palace summon her? A lowly concubine's daughter like her, how could she possibly be worthy of seeing the emperor and empress? Had she committed some offense outside? Father. When she returns, she must be executed. Keeping this little slut alive will only bring endless trouble. My father was equally baffled. Yet he still sent me into the palace. In my past life, I had visited the imperial palace countless times, so I knew my way around like the back of my hand. In the imperial study, the emperor and empress sat enthroned. A lavishly dressed noblewoman fixed me with a piercing gaze and immediately burst into tears. Your Majesty, this is my sister's child. Her eyes and brows are the very image of my sister. My sister was taken by those rebels years ago while trying to save your Majesty and the Empress. She struck her head on a rock while escaping and her fate remains unknown. After years of searching, I finally discovered she lost her memory. The rebels sold her to slave traders, and she was purchased by the Song family. Your Majesty, the Empress, please let me take this poor child away. The woman before me is my aunt, the second daughter born to the main branch of the Marquis of Jinan. In my previous life, At this very moment, she too found me in the Eastern Palace. Her words are true. My late mother was the eldest daughter of the Marquis's household. Back then, my father was merely a lowly ninth-rank official, unfit to meet the Marquis's family. He didn't know my mother personally, but captivated by her beauty, he purchased her to become his concubine. And indeed, my mother had once saved the lives of the emperor and empress. This time, I bypassed formalities entirely, immediately producing the jade pendant my mother had left me. This is my mother's keepsake. If you truly are my aunt, please take me and my mother to claim our ancestral lineage. Seeing the jade pendant, my aunt wept even more bitterly, clutching me tightly as she trembled for a long while. The benevolent emperor and empress, recognizing my mother's life-saving grace, immediately bestowed upon me the title of a princess. After bowing in gratitude for the imperial favor, my aunt took me to the Song family. As we opened the door, we happened upon Song Jianjian stepping out. Upon seeing me, her face darkened completely. What business did you have in the palace? Did you do something shameful out there? Father has already agreed, as soon as you return, he'll sell you to a brothel. You ruined my plans, so I'll ruin your life. Her smugness was plain to see. Father had finally made his choice between her and me. Her word held far more weight than mine. My aunt frowned, her gaze fixed on Song Jianjian with displeasure. I've heard that the eldest daughter of your Song family, now the crown prince's consort, is deeply favored by his highness. She possesses remarkable beauty and graceful virtue. How is it that now she appears to be nothing but a shrew? Song Jianjian's face flushed with anger, ready to retort. But upon seeing my aunt's extraordinary attire, she instantly grew cautious. Who are you? What business is it of yours how I discipline my presumptuous younger sister? This is the Song family's private affair. It seems you have no right to meddle. My maternal grandfather was a general who fought on the battlefield. The daughters in our family were raised like boys from childhood. My aunt's face immediately turned cold. What does that have to do with me? Lanqi is my niece. Her biological mother is my sister. What connection do you speak of? Absurd. Song Jianjian sneered coldly. Father, come quickly and see. Someone is falsely claiming kinship here. That courtesan you bought from the brothel, someone actually dares to claim her as sister. Aunt's face darkened. She raised her hand and slapped Song Jianwan hard across the face. Who do you think you are? Daring to insult the empress's savior? You married into the Eastern Palace by sheer luck. Everyone knows you were pregnant before the wedding, you're the laughingstock of the entire capital. How dare you insult my sister? Stunned by the blow, Song Jianjian took a long moment to recover. Just as she gritted her teeth to retaliate, my father finally appeared. Spotting his aunt, he paused for a second before bowing respectfully. This humble son greets Lady Lin. What brings Lady Lin to this humble abode? Seeing my father's deference, Song Jianjian's face darkened. Father, who is she? Why are you so respectful? She just slapped me. I don't care who she is, I'll report this to the emperor and empress. I'll have her entire clan executed. My father frowned and shot her a warning glance. This is the wife of the general of the flying cavalry, the legitimate daughter of the Marquis of Jinan. Lady Lin, how dare you be so impolite? At present, the border conflicts were critical. The court favored military generals over civil officials. My aunt's husband was stationed far at the frontier, having won several consecutive battles. He was at the height of his glory and merit. Not even the crown princess, let alone the imperial consort, dared utter a word against him. Facing the man who had purchased her own sister as a concubine, hatred flared in my aunt's eyes. She no longer bothered to maintain any semblance of decorum. Song Yongxing, do you know that Lanqi's birth mother is my own elder sister? My father's expression was a study in itself, bewilderment. shock, and dread. This I did not know. But the eunuch who rushed from the palace bearing the imperial decree clarified everything. Your mother was the legitimate daughter of the Marquis's household. My father was so astonished his jaw nearly hit the floor, while Song Jianjian's jealousy boiled over into open hatred. How dare you be granted the title of princess? That whore of a mother. Before the words could leave her mouth, my aunt's hand struck the other side of her face. Furious, she lunged to retaliate. But she was no match for my aunt. A flurry of slaps followed, swelling her entire face. She fled in tears. I suspected she was off to complain to the crown prince. Only then did my aunt turn her icy glare toward my father. On the way here, I questioned Lan Shi extensively. You ruined my sister's life and treated her daughter with such cold indifference. You are unworthy of being a father. I have already reported to the emperor, requesting Lan Shi be removed from the Song family registry and entered into the Lin family. From this day forward, she has no connection whatsoever to your Song family. My father never held much affection for me, since it didn't harm his dignity or prospects. He seemed indifferent, even visibly relieved. Following my aunt to the general's residence, she showered me with care, recounting the deep sisterly bond she shared with my mother. She held my arm, studying me intently for a long time, her eyes welling up. This child must have endured so much suffering. My poor sister, I will care for you in her stead. From this day forward, you have a home. In my past life, after becoming crown princess, my aunt often looked after me and showed me kindness. Yet feeling the warmth of her palm once more, my heart warmed anew. I clung tightly to her. Thank you, aunt. Given Song Jianjian's temperament, she would naturally return to complain to the crown prince. The next day, the crown prince personally came to our door with her in tow. Lady Lin, I have always respected you as the wife of a general, treating you with utmost courtesy. Why did you strike my crown princess? To utterly humiliate her? His face was stern, his expression resolute, as if determined to seek justice for the enraged Song Jianwan standing beside him. But my aunt showed the crown prince no courtesy whatsoever. Why shouldn't I? As crown prince, you failed to control your own consort. She ran amok, insulting those who saved the emperor's life. I didn't seek trouble with you. How dare you come looking for mine? If not for my sister saving the emperor and empress, would you even be crown prince now? Or have this crown princess? That Song Jianwan spouts such insolence like some street corner shrew, destroying your royal family's dignity and decorum, and you still defend her? I see you're truly dim-witted and incompetent as crown prince. Truth be told, though he holds the title, over the years, the ministers who truly support him are pitifully few. On one hand, his birth mother, the late empress, is gone, and her family's influence has been crushed beyond recognition by the current empress. On the other, he possesses little real talent. He's always presented himself as one who seeks no glory but avoids blame, utterly mediocre. In my previous life, he only ascended the throne smoothly because my aunt found me. My maternal grandfather, heartbroken over my plight, joined forces with my aunt's family to support the crown prince. Now, the most powerful clans are the Lin family and the general of the flying cavalry. Any clear-eyed observer knows that whoever they endorse will be the true heir apparent. Yet both families have remained neutral, refusing to take sides. But that doesn't mean they wouldn't abuse their influence. After my aunt's scathing rebuke, the crown prince's dignity evaporated. His face immediately darkened. You dare show such disrespect to this palace, relying on your family's military power. I shall report this to the emperor. You shall be. How? Aunt raised an eyebrow, glancing at him and then sweeping her gaze to Song Jianwan beside him. Even if you report it to the emperor, you have no grounds. The emperor and empress would never lightly pardon a crown princess who insults a meritorious minister. Song Jianjuan's position as crown princess was one the crown prince had begged for. The emperor disapproved of him marrying the daughter of a fifth-rank official as his principal consort, while the empress simply refused to grant his wish. Song Jianjuan, as crown princess, had never enjoyed the favor of the imperial couple. Her aunt laid it all out plainly, and Song Jianjian stamped her feet in agitation. "Your Highness." Before she could finish, she clutched her stomach in sudden agony. "Your Highness, I've been so upset. My stomach hurts terribly. I must return. I need a physician." "It's them. They've unsettled your Highness's child." The crown prince hurriedly took Song Jianjian back. These past months, there had been no sign of movement. That day, I heard Song Jianjian had a difficult labor. Fortunately, after enduring immense hardship, she still gave birth to a boy. Before her confinement period ended, the crown prince and she brought charges against me and my aunt before the imperial court. "Father, mother, you must vindicate your son and the crown princess." Lady Lin grew utterly insolent, publicly slapping the crown princess and hurling insults, causing Her Highness to suffer a stroke of rage that endangered both mother and child. The crown prince wore a face of sorrow and indignation, appearing quite convincing. Meanwhile, Song Jianjian put on a performance learned from Xiaoju, collapsing onto the palace floor in heartrending sobs. "It matters little if your humble servant is insulted," she wailed. "But the child within me is the crown prince's own flesh and blood, your own grandson. Your Majesty, I cannot bear to see this child endure hardship before it is even born." With the border conflicts escalating, countless military officers, emboldened by your Majesty's favor, now bully the imperial family. Our royal dignity. Her words were blunt, revealing her resolve to exact revenge. But I would not grant her that opportunity. Your Majesty, your Majesty. My aunt did publicly slap the crown princess that day, but it was for the sake of the imperial family's honor. The emperor and empress froze for a moment. "Oh?" I spoke slowly. "The crown princess is vulgar and coarse, committing acts that tarnish the dignity of the imperial family. My aunt acted to protect the family's reputation." Song Jianjian gritted her teeth. "That's pure sophistry. When have I ever done anything to dishonor the imperial family?" I curved my lips. "You keep insisting we nearly endangered the great-grandson. So tell me, where exactly is the great-grandson?" Her face twisted in bewilderment. "My child is not yet a month old. He must not be exposed to drafts. So naturally he cannot be brought into the palace." My smile grew brighter. "That is your child, not the crown prince's." A flicker of panic crossed Song Jianjian's eyes. "What nonsense are you spouting? I am the crown princess. My child is naturally the crown prince's child." I turned to the emperor and empress. "Your Majesty, your Majesty, the crown prince's consort is my elder sister. While I was still at home, I discovered she intended to elope with a lowly actor. It was I who brought her back. At that time, she was already with child. If the child truly bore the crown prince's blood, why would she risk eloping? This concerns the imperial bloodline. Your Majesty, you absolutely cannot dismiss this lightly." The emperor and empress had never favored Song Jianjuan, and this matter was of grave importance. Naturally, they took it seriously and immediately asked if I had evidence. I nodded and had Xiaoju, whom I had recently retrieved, brought into the palace. A mere actor, how could he have ever entered the palace or seen the emperor? After a few words pressed upon him, he spilled everything cleanly. "Your Majesty, it was all the crown princess consort who seduced this humble subject. I never wished to consort with her. But she insisted that just this once wouldn't matter. That day she came to me, claiming she was with child and wanted to elope. I'd never had children in my life, so my heart softened, and I I agreed. Little did I know she'd have her father threaten me relentlessly, driving me out of the capital. The emperor flew into a rage and ordered a blood test to verify paternity. Soon after, attendants from the eastern palace brought the infant. Watching Xiao Ju's blood slowly mix with the baby's, the crown prince exploded in fury. He smashed the bowl, utterly disregarding his dignity, then yanked Song Jianjian by the hair. I treated you well. How dare you betray me? Who in the capital didn't know he loved Song Jianwan above all else? After their marriage, their affection was boundless. He'd pluck stars from the heavens for her. Now, the entire capital would know this crown prince father had been cuckolded. Consumed by shame and fury, he beat Song Jianwan until she begged for mercy. I was wrong, Your Highness. I'll never dare again. Please stop hitting me, it hurts so much. The emperor and empress watched coldly, letting the crown prince vent his fury. Song Jianjian could no longer be crown princess, but she could still be a human pig. I knew the crown prince's methods well. Beneath his outwardly refined demeanor, when enraged, he became a beast. Unexpectedly, in this life, he proved even more brutal than in the last. Instead of turning Song Jianjian into a human pig, he sentenced her to 1,000 cuts. He ordered that every day, a piece of her flesh be sliced off and salt rubbed into the wound. Yet she was forbidden to die. Only after a full 1,000 cuts, when the agony had rendered her voice hoarse, would she be allowed to breathe her last. This marked the 325th day of Song Jianjian's torment. Xiao Ju and the child had already been executed by imperial decree. News of the crown prince's cruelty reached the emperor's ears. Coupled with the empress's whispered counsel and the scheming of other princes, the position of crown prince was swiftly transferred to the empress's own son. Stripped of power and dignity, the former crown prince was left wearing an inescapable green hat, becoming a laughingstock in the people's daily conversations. He descended into utter madness, cursing the emperor and empress as heartless. The emperor, disillusioned, banished him to the imperial clan office for life imprisonment. As for my father, he too was implicated because of Song Jianjian. The emperor demoted him to serve as a deputy magistrate in a remote county. I heard the winds there were fierce and sandstorms common, with nights cold enough to kill. He came to me begging for mercy. I am still your father. After all, your mother saved the emperor's life. If you would plead with him, surely he might show mercy. I smiled back, returning the same distant gaze he'd once fixed upon me. Had you not intended to sell me into a brothel that day, perhaps I might have spared you. But now, you must rely only on yourself. He stared at me for a long time, his eyes filled with regret, guilt, sorrow, and finally, despair. After that, I lived with my aunt, who treated me as her own daughter, never once neglecting me. Her husband also regarded me as his own flesh and blood. Here, I felt a warmth I had never known before. The end.